Nehemiah chapter 9. Now in the 24th day of this month, the children of Israel were assembled with fasting, and with sackcloth and earth upon them. And the seed of Israel separated themselves from all foreigners, and stood and confessed their sins, and the iniquities of their fathers. And they stood up in their place, and read in the book of the law of Yahweh their God a fourth part of the day, and another fourth part they confessed, and worshipped Yahweh their God. Then stood up upon the stairs of the Levim Yeshua and Bani, Kadmiel, Shabaniah, Bunni, Sherebiah, Bani, Kanani. And they cried with a loud voice to Yahweh their God. Then the Levim, Yeshua and Kadmiel, Bani, Hashabniah, Sherebiah, Hodiah, Shabaniah, Petahiah, said, Stand up and bless Yahweh your God from everlasting to everlasting, and blessed be thy glorious name, which is exalted above all blessing and praise. Thou art Yahweh, even thou alone. Thou hast made the skies of the skies, with all their host, the earth and all things that are thereon, the seas and all that is in them, and thou preservest them all. And the host of the skies worshippeth thee. Thou art Yahweh the God, who didst choose Abram, and broughtest him forth out of Ur of the Kasdim, and gavest him the name of Abraham, and foundest his heart faithful before thee, and madest a covenant with him to give the land of the Canaanite, the Hittite, the Amori, and the Perizzi, and the Yebusi, and the Girgashi, to give it to his seed, and hast performed thy words, for thou art righteous. And thou sawest the affliction of our fathers in Mizraim, and heardest their cry by the Red Sea, and showedst signs and wonders upon Pharaoh, and on all his servants, and on all the people of his land, for thou knewest that they dealt proudly against them, and didst get thee a name, as it is this day. And thou didst divide the sea before them, so that they went through the midst of the sea on the dry land, and their pursuers thou didst cast into the depths, as a stone into the mighty waters. Moreover, in a pillar of cloud thou leddest them by day, and in a pillar of fire by night, to give them light in the way wherein they should go. Thou camest down also upon Mount Sinai, and spakest with them from skies, and gavest them right ordinances and true laws, good statutes and commands, and madest known to them thy holy Shabbat, and commandedst them commands and statutes and the law by Moshe thy servant, and gavest them bread from skies for their hunger, and broughtest forth water for them out of the rock for their thirst, and commandedst them that they should go in to possess the land which thou hadst sworn to give them. But they and our fathers dealt proudly, and hardened their neck, and hearkened not to thy commands, and refused to obey, neither were mindful of thy wonders that thou didst among them, but hardened their neck, and in their rebellion appointed a captain to return to their slavery. But thou art a God ready to pardon, gracious and merciful, slow to anger, and abundant in loving kindness, and forsookest them not. Yea, when they had made them a cast metal calf, and said, This is thy God that brought thee up out of Mizraim, and had wrought great provocations, yet thou, in thy manifold mercies, forsookest them not in the wilderness. The pillar of cloud departed not from over them by day, to lead them in the way, neither the pillar of fire by night, to show them light, and the way wherein they should go. Thou gavest also thy good Spirit to instruct them, and withheldest not thy man from their mouth, and gavest them water for their thirst. Yea, 40 years didst thou sustain them in the wilderness, and they lacked nothing. Their clothes became not old, and their feet swelled not. Moreover, thou gavest them kingdoms and peoples, which thou didst allot after their portions. So they possessed the land of Sihon, even the land of the king of Heshbon, and the land of Og, king of Bashan. Their children also multipliedst thou as the stars of the skies, and broughtest them into the land concerning which thou didst say to their fathers that they should go in to possess it. So the children went in and possessed the land, and thou subduedst before them the inhabitants of the land, the Canaanim, and gavest them into their hands, with their kings and the peoples of the land, that they might do with them as they would. And they took fortified cities and a fat land, and possessed houses full of all good things, cisterns hewn out, vineyards and olive yards, and fruit trees in abundance. So they did eat, and were filled, and became fat, and delighted themselves in thy great goodness. Nevertheless, they were disobedient, and rebelled against thee, and cast thy law behind their back, and slew thy prophets that testified against them to turn them again to thee, and they wrought great provocations. Therefore thou deliveredst them into the hand of their adversaries, who distressed them, and in the time of their trouble, when they cried to thee, thou heardest from skies. And according to thy manifold mercies, thou gavest them saviours, who saved them out of the hand of their adversaries. But after they had rest, they did again evil before thee. Therefore leftest thou them in the hand of their enemies, so that they had the dominion over them. Yet when they returned and cried to thee, thou heardest from skies, and many times didst thou deliver them according to thy mercies, and testifiedst against them, that thou mightest bring them again to thy law. Yet they dealt proudly, and hearkened not to thy commands, but sinned against thy ordinances, which if a man do, then he shall live by means of them, and withdrew the shoulder, and hardened their neck, and would not hear. Yet many years didst thou bear with them, and testifiedst against them by thy Spirit through thy prophets. Yet would they not give ear. Therefore gavest thou them into the hand of the peoples of the lands. Nevertheless, in thy manifold mercies thou didst not make a full end of them, nor forsake them, for thou art a gracious and merciful God. Now therefore, our God, the great, the mighty, and the terrifying God, who keepest covenant and loving kindness, let not all the travail seem little before thee that hath come upon us, on our kings, on our princes, and on our priests, and on our prophets, and on our fathers, and on all thy people, since the time of the kings of Athur to this day. Howbeit thou art just in all that is come upon us, for thou hast dealt truly, but we have done wickedly. Neither have our kings, our princes, our priests, nor our fathers kept thy law, nor hearkened to thy commands and thy testimonies, wherewith thou didst testify against them. For they have not served thee in their kingdom, and in thy great goodness that thou gavest them, and in the large and fat land which thou gavest before them, neither turned they from their wicked works. Behold, we are servants this day, and as for the land that thou gavest to our fathers to eat the fruit thereof, and the good thereof, behold, we are servants in it, and it yieldeth much increase to the kings, whom thou hast set over us because of our sins. Also they have power over our bodies, and over our cattle, at their pleasure, and we are in great distress. And yet for all this we make a sure covenant, and write it, and our princes, our Levim, and our priests seal to it.